join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, Misty, if you call the roll, please.
Harleen Kane. Here. Ray Eckerby.
Here.
Bill Lukens.
Here.
Martin Meyer.
Here.
Bob Nelson.
Here.
Sam Powers.
Here.
Ron Richards.
Here.
Allison Edwards. Here. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. We approve the agenda. Are there any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. And again, I remind the council, if there is an item that we will be voting on tonight and you do have a conflict of interest concerning that item, I would ask that you notify the council prior to voting. Thank you. In your packages, you have the minutes from our previous council meeting. I'd ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous council meeting, the 15th council meeting.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Are there any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. You have in your packages claims. First of all, bills in between for $389.65. I'd ask for a motion to approve those bills in between.
Make a motion to approve bills in between of $202,389.65.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve those bills in between. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. The current claims listed on the agenda have been adjusted. The current claims are now for $104,613.32. And the reason for that is a credit for returns, and you'll see that noted about the middle of page 9. I'd ask for a motion to approve the amended current claims of $104,613.32.
Make a motion to approve the current claims for $104,613.32.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve those current claims. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The current claims are approved. You also have in your packages the Wells Fargo credit card charges for $6,367.70. I would accept a motion to approve those charges.
Make a motion to approve the Wells Fargo credit card charges of $6,367.70.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve those charges. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Those charges are approved. Moving on in our agenda, we have communications from the public. Is Gary Drews here? Oh, great, there you are. You step to the mic.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I am Gary Drews. I'm with the SDML Work Comp Fund, and I have a plaque that I would like to present to you this evening. And the City of Hot Springs has been a member of this program for the last 25 years. We've been in existence for 32 years at this point in time, but it's been a program that has been very well received and accepted in South Dakota. Local government entities, we service cities, counties, conservation districts, and numerous other local entities. We have 495 entities that are part of this program now. But you were really one of the early birds to get into the program not long ago. The program has been very successful, not only financially, but it saved entities such as Hot Springs a lot of dollars over the course of the years that I've member. So it's my privilege just to be here to present this plaque on behalf of our appreciation for you being a member, continuing to be a member, and you've not had a bad work conference for either, so we're very pleased with that. So if I can just leave this, I'll give it to Misty.
Okay, great, and Misty will accept, and we thank you for the service that you provide to us as a community.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
Is there anyone on the council that has any questions or comments? Again, thank you for being here, and we appreciate the association.
I would make a comment. Because the council doesn't get to work with these associates that we work with, you should,
Microphone there, Misty, please.
you should know that we are very pleased with the service that we're provided and the ease of use and the communication. It's an intimate relationship because of the classifications and the details, and so there's often questions when it comes to billings and claims and refunds, and I have called and asked many questions and never been disappointed with the service I've been provided, and our employees don't have a significant amount of complaints, and they're the ones that are actually going through something difficult and having to deal with this company with their claims, and so we appreciate you, and that's why I believe the city's been 25 years as a member, because we have no reason to look elsewhere.
Thank you, Misty. And I didn't promise her any special privilege.
No, I didn't plan to say
Appreciate
that,
it.
but.
And I don't know, did you get a good photo of,
Okay.
did you get a good photo of the presentation?
I can get another. I can get
I
an
think it
actual.
Why don't we?
Why don't you do it with the council?
Go ahead and come on up to the
If
stage.
I have to be, I'll take my clothes off. Where would you like us to be easier right there? Where the light's good? Oh, perfect.
One more. Thank you. Thank you.
You mentioned that email get press release, so I'm sure you get that too.
Next on our agenda is our chamber quarterly update. Olivia, we're going to be having a public hearing in about a minute. So I know you've got a lot to share, and I don't want to have to interrupt you in between. Are there any other communications from the public? Okay, hearing none. I show the time to be 7:10. I would open a public hearing, and what we want to do is 3 temporary alcoholic beverage license applications for the wine walk to be held on the 24th of May. And the Chamber of Commerce uses this as a way to showcase our downtown businesses. And so I would open the public hearing at this time and ask if there are any comments from the public as to whether these temporary alcoholic beverage applications should be approved or they should be disapproved. Seeing no comments from the public, I'd ask the council if you have any comments or questions. This is an event that we've had before. Okay, hearing no comments or questions from the council, we'll go ahead and close this public hearing. The time is 7:11, and I would ask for a motion to approve those temporary alcoholic beverage licenses for the wine walk.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary alcoholic beverage license applications for the wine walk on May 24, 2019, for Chamber of Commerce to be used at the Morris Grand Gallery, Cultural Development Organization to be used at Black Hills Books and Treasures, and Chautauqua Artisans Market to be used at their location.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve these temporary licenses. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask all those in favor to signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those beverage applications are approved. Okay, Livia, you are on.
That's the
There
one
we go.
there it is, yeah.
All righty. Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Cotti, esteemed council members, city personnel, and members of the community. Thank you for welcoming me here tonight to give the quarterly report from the Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce. We continue to work on growing our membership, and we're reaching out to all businesses, old and new, to become chamber members. We do ask if you hear of anything new or exciting going on, do give us a heads up, because as much as we try to keep abreast of things, we also rely on our members in our community for information. Springing into summer is a very, very busy time for us, and the Chamber puts out a number of publications. For example, we have the Full Color City Map and the Hot Springs Welcome magazine published by the Fall River County Herald, and that is the premier go-to publication for Hot Springs. We distribute this magazine both digitally and through regular mail. Our magazine is also placed at the I-90 rest stops and other pickup points, and we produce a summer directory, which is a document specifically designed for frontline staff to help them assist our guests. We also produce an in-house dining guide, which is placed in hotels to help promote our local restaurants. We recently held our annual job fair, and we will again be offering customer service training and FAM, which stands for familiarization, FAM training, where we familiarize frontline personnel with what our various attractions, hotels, shops, restaurants have to offer. We also want folks to be aware that the Chamber is a community resource, and you are welcome to call on us for assistance on finding businesses, asking questions, needing to know what's available in Hot Springs, or even just a phone number. We're there to help everybody. We continue with our efforts to support our ag community. Each year we offer a youth ag scholarship, and this year we've increased the amount from $400 to $500, and the winner will be announced in the next couple of days. We also sponsor the Meal for Conservation Day at Woodley Preserve, and we sponsor and serve 2 meals for 4-H families at the Fall River County Fair. We hold our Ag Appreciation Dinner each November, and last year saw an increase, which was very heartwarming, and will stay the course. We welcome any input and ideas from our ag community. Our tourism committee meets on the first Wednesday of each month at noon, and we placed major ads in the South Dakota Vacation Guide, Southern Hills Vacation Guide, and Black Hills Visitor. We have a presence in Traveler Magazine, as well as their video being featured on our website. We have 4 collaborated pages in the Travel I-90 magazine, as well as a quarter-page ad in the USA Today Special National Parks Edition, which has a huge digital reach across the United States. We're also participating with various other enterprises with the bid board, and this garners us over 10,000 leads per year with our Yellowstone advertising thanks to the bid board. We have an international digital campaign running with Urban Global, where our story is translated into German, French, and Italian, and is strategically placed on social media in those countries, as well as in English in the United Kingdom. I recently attended IRU, which stands for International Roundup, and it's basically speed dating for international travel professionals. I met with 42 foreign travel agents in the course of a day in 10-minute intervals. It was very intense, very exciting, and I learned a lot about the international market. I'd love to give a full recap, but we don't have time. But if you are interested in hearing more about my time at IRU, please do attend the next tourism meeting on the first Wednesday in June. The Chamber also maintains 5 billboards, and we participate in South Dakota's peak season campaign, where $40,000 from the bid board translates into $80,000 with South Dakota Tourism matching funds. We partner with Black Hills and Badlands Tourism Association, and this allows us to participate in several advertising co-ops, as well as having a presence at numerous travel shows that they attend, where they promote our town. Our budget wouldn't allow us to attend these shows singularly. Thanks to the partnership with BH&B, we have a presence in many places that would otherwise be beyond our reach. We also have a strong presence at their visitor center on the I-90, and we participate in group tour and international ads. Throughout the year, we host a number of familiarization or fan tours, which are arranged by South Dakota Tourism, where we host tour operators, travel professionals, journalists, etc. We take them around and show them how great Hot Springs is. I'm very lucky that on Wednesday I will be hosting 20 members who work at the I-90 visitor centers. So the I-90 visitor center personnel will be, thanks to Hills Inn, staying overnight, and I get them for the whole day on Wednesday to show off our town. That's a big coup for us, because normally we don't get them for a whole day, and night we're peppered in with running around the rest of the area, but we reached out to them and they said, hey, we'll give them to you for a day. So they'll be seeing the golf course, Evans Plunge, Black Hills Wildlife Sanctuary, the new diner, restaurants, everything we can show them we will. And I'm very proud to show off our town. I enjoy that part. Our Depot Information Center opened on May 1st and will stay open until September 31st. They are closed for a few days while the heat is being fixed and the aircon being repaired. Our Retail and Business Promotions Committee, we affectionately refer to them as R&B. They continue to work to support local businesses and shop local. And it's important that we keep driving this message forward and encourage folks to spend their dollars here in town. We have an excellent business community, and we hope that they will reap the rewards of our tourism efforts. We recently started hosting a retail roundtable. Our first one was in March, and we're grateful to Mayor Cotti for attending and giving everybody an update on the roadworks. From that discussion, we became aware that the downtown businesses are very interested in having a trolley. And thanks to the coverage in the Herald, Prairie Hills Transit reached out to the mayor, who passed them on to us, and we are now in discussions to see if something can be done. Our next retail roundtable is on May 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. and Prairie Hills Transit will be in attendance to tell us what they have to offer, and we can discuss and see if something can come together to give Hot Springs a trolley. All businesses are welcome to attend. In fact, anyone can attend with pleasure. It's not only retailers, but obviously our focus is on the businesses. Retail and Business Committee is also responsible for the extremely popular Wine Walk and Putt event. Thank you for approving the licenses for this event. It's a great way to get folks into the downtown and going in and out of businesses, either to have a snack stop, a wine stop, or a putt stop. And they can go in and see what our local businesses have to offer. It's a very popular kick-off to the holiday season, the vacation season, with it being Memorial Day weekend. The same committee also does the ever-popular Christmas cookie cruise and the storefront decorating contest during Christmas in the Hills. And our R&B committee believes that every event that's held in Hot Springs is an opportunity for local businesses, and we need to capitalize on all these events. Our signature event, the Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce Fall River Hot Air Balloon Festival, is held every August, and we're working hard at putting all these pieces together. This year we hope to host between 25 and 30 hot air balloons, And we have also added a fun element called the hare and hound race. It's not a fast race, and it's more for the pilots. We do not want people tearing around chasing balloons, but the pilots really enjoy it, and they get a little prize if their bead bag hits the target. Well, the first 3 get a prize, not everybody. We're always looking for help and volunteers for this and all events, so if anybody wants to jump in and help, do contact the chamber. We'd love to have you. And so we are very fortunate to live in this wonderful little town, and I'm very excited about anything Hot Springs. So please feel free to stop by the chamber office anytime if you need assistance with anything, if you have a suggestion, or even if you just want a cup of coffee. Please support our local business and shop local. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak, and I wish you all good evening.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments for Olivia?
Done.
Thank you.
It's it already.
Okay.
Well, Olivia, thank you very much for the very thorough report. It's obvious the Chamber is a very busy organization and does a lot of things for Hot Springs. For all of us, it's important to realize and recognize that a great part of our revenue that Misty will be covering a summary of later on every year comes from the sales taxes that our local businesses generate. And the Chamber serves as our marketing promotion organization, and it's very important that we work hand in hand to make sure that we get the biggest bang for our bucks and get all the people here to Hot Springs, get them enjoying our area and spending lots of money. So that's very important. Olivia, I'd like to have you stay there. I am going to read a proclamation, and I'll be presenting this to you to let you know that we as a city and as a community support our small businesses. And this is a proclamation for National Small Business Week. Whereas America's progress has been driven by pioneers who think big, take risks, and work hard. And whereas from the storefront shops that anchor our downtown to high-tech startups that keep America on the cutting edge, small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the cornerstone of our nation's promise. And whereas small business owners and downtown businesses have energy and passion for what they do, and whereas when we support small business, jobs are created and local communities preserve their unique culture. And whereas because this country's 30 million small businesses create nearly 2 out of every 3 net new jobs in our economy, we cannot resolve ourselves to create jobs and spur economic growth in America without discussing ways to support our entrepreneurs. And whereas the President of the United States has proclaimed National Small Business Week every year since 1963 to highlight the programs and services available to entrepreneurs through the U.S. Small Business Administration and other government agencies. And whereas the City of Hot Springs supports and joins this national effort to help America's small businesses do what they do best, grow their businesses, create jobs, and ensure that our communities remain as vibrant tomorrow as they are today. Now, therefore, I, George Cotty, the Mayor of Hot Springs, South Dakota, do hereby proclaim May 5th through May 11th, 2019 as National Small Business Week here in Hot Springs. In witness thereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused this seal to be affixed. Signed, George Cotty, Mayor of Hot Springs. And I'd ask if you'd come forward and receive this.
Come on, folks. Here, take my coat off.
It's your turn.
If you don't mind, I'm joined by 2 members of our retail and business.
Absolutely, we don't mind.
Daisy Brothers from Morris Grand Gallery is the head of our retail business committee, and Bob is one of our members.
And again, thank you, Olivia, and thank you for what you all do for our community and promoting the small businesses. And I just wish you the best of everything. And we're hoping that as we grow in the future, as our road construction comes, that we can have a big explosion in making Hot Springs business downtown even more vibrant than it is today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome, there you go. We're in the groove. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we'll move on in our agenda to personnel actions. And I would ask that we take personnel actions A through M with the exclusion of item I, and I'd like to approve that individually. I think I'd ask for a motion to approve personnel actions A through M with the exclusion of item I.
I'll make a motion to approve personnel actions A through H and J through M.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve those personnel actions. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the reason I want to look at item I, you see that highlighted. This is the Evans Plunge head lifeguard position. And I believe that there was some discussion at that today at Admin Finance. And Bob, if you could give a summary and your committee's recommendation for that particular personnel action.
Sure. As the mayor mentioned, we discussed this agenda item, and here's my brief summary. Kyle Holcomb was recently selected as the new Evans Plunge head lifeguard. The current starting salary for a head lifeguard is $10 an hour. Because Kyle has been working for the city for 2 years, with his longevity increases, he currently makes $10.50 an hour. With the additional job responsibilities required of the head lifeguard, the committee is recommending starting Kyle at $11 an hour.
Okay, with that explanation, I would ask for a motion to approve item I.
I make a motion to approve item I.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve item I. Are there any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We move on to committee reports, admin and finance. Bob?
Admin and Finance met today at City Hall at 1 o'clock. Mayor Cotty, Bill, Allison, Marty, Kim, Misty, and myself were present. One old business item, the surplus property available lots update. Misty is working with First American and Southern Hills Title on the Wolfstead Last Lot and the Holt Homes RFP. New business, Mayor talked with us. The current suppliers for aviation fuel at the airport will not provide that service after the end of June. The city has the first right of purchase for that service. The preferred solution would be for the current suppliers of aviation fuel to find another buyer to continue the service. Discussions will need to continue to determine if the city should purchase that service to continue providing fuel to the aircraft that use the airport if no private buyers are found. We had a Evans Plunge user that requested renewal of 21 punches on their expired punch cards. The punch cards totaling 30 punches were purchased in 2015 with an expiration date of December 31, 2018. The user only used 9 of the available punches prior to the card's expiration dates. The expiration date is clearly printed on the purchase invoice for the cards. The committee agreed the user had 3 years to use the available punches and doesn't feel the 21 punches requested by the user should be renewed. We also talked about the current employee discounts that are given at Southern Hills Golf Course and the Evans Plunge. Currently, city employees are given a 30% discount at Southern Hills Golf Course and Evans Plunge. At this discount rate, the IRS expects the city to track that discount, and the employee should also be reporting the discount on their federal tax returns. The maximum discount an employee can be given without tracking or reporting is 20%. Admin Finance is recommending the discount rate given to city employees be reduced to 20%. We also talked about year-end bonuses for Evans Plunge lifeguards. Evans Plunge has traditionally had a hard time getting lifeguards to stay through the months of May 1st to August 31st. The committee discussed a bonus or incentive program that would encourage seasonal lifeguards to continue working throughout those months. The bonus would be $200 per lifeguard and only be paid if each lifeguard works 300 hours over a 10-week consecutive period between May 1st and August 31st. Admin Finance is recommending approving the bonus or incentive. And if you think back, I believe every agenda we have had has had lifeguards coming or going. It has been difficult for them. This is an attempt to get them to stay through our busiest periods. And we did focus on the fact that the award would only be given if they meet the 300 hours over a 10-week consecutive period. 299 hours doesn't cut it. It's 300 or nothing. I read the discussion we had about Kyle that you just approved, the head lifeguard. The golf course superintendent is asking the council to approve a new job description for a horticulturist that would be responsible for the planting and growing of ornamental plants and plantings on the golf course grounds. If approved by the council, it's on our agenda tonight, the position would be funded with the current golf course budget. Admin Finance is recommending approval of the new position. We also revisited the Main Street's Arts and Crafts request to waive park fee applications. The main purpose of the current park application fee is to ensure that anyone who reserves a future date for use of a particular park location actually uses that location and isn't simply reserving a date they end up not using. This will be the 43rd year the Arts and Crafts Festival will host their annual event. Admin Finance is confident Arts and Crafts will use the park during the dates they've reserved and is recommending waiving the application fee for the Arts and Crafts Festival. The committee also agreed to continue to discuss possible changes to the park ordinance to address this concern for future community events. The next Admin Finance meeting will be June 3rd, 1 p.m. at City Hall.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Airport Advisory Committee, Bill.
The committee met on Thursday, April 25th at 8 a.m. at the airport. Present were Mayor Cotty, myself, Kim, and the airport manager, Ed. From the advisory committee were Don O'Connor, Georgia Holmes, Sean Miller, and Denny and Myrna Lewis. Under old business, the Compass Rose location was set, and it will be on the ramp in front of the terminal. Final plans and schedule are being set for the June 1 fly-in. Ed provided an update on the 10-unit T-hanger project that he was provided by KLJ Engineering. This 10-unit project is in progress. The funding is 95 and 5, so 5% from the city, and construction should be underway in 2020. It provided an update on the mechanic that had shown some interest in starting a business at the airport. However, that mechanic indicated that the economics that he had run didn't work out and that he will not be pursuing the opportunity with us. Kim provided an update to the committee regarding the city's efforts to attain a favorable ruling with the Department of Agriculture and the FAA regarding sand and gravel mineral rights on the airport property. That is ongoing. Under new business, and as Bob mentioned, the city has been notified that the current operator of the fuel system will not be renewing the contract. The committee strongly believes this is an important service at the airport and a replacement operator needs to be found. The subcommittee will begin working that issue, and we did meet as a subcommittee this morning and again reported that our findings with Admin Finance this morning or this afternoon. Window replacement will begin this summer, and that's part of the 2019 budget. And and that'll be finished later on this summer. Our next meeting will be Thursday, May 30th, 8 a.m. at the airport. And again, the fly-in will be Saturday, June 1st, and tethered balloon rides will begin about 6 a.m., I believe.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Custer Fall River Waste Management District, Ron?
The next meeting will be May 9th, 7 p.m. at the New York Civic Center.
Okay, thank you. Downtown Historic Preservation Commission, Arlene?
The next meeting will be June 5th at 5 o'clock in the library.
Okay, thank you. Evans Plunge Advisory Committee, Allison?
Evans Plunge Advisory Committee met on April 11th, 2019. Chris Hansen, Tom Mays, Casey Carruthers, Sandy Ferguson, Greg Gunwall, Kathy Wren, Joshua Johnson, Murray Smith, I believe, I hope I'm saying her name right, and Barbara Walter were there. I was absent for that one. They have a new aquatics manager, and Evans Plunge member Joshua Johnson was introduced and welcome to the group. They reviewed some staffing issues, in particular the lifeguard position, and the difficulties filling them, hence the incentive program that's being discussed, and discussed advertising options and upcoming lifeguard training. Discussed how the inaugural winter swimming lessons went and lessons learned from that, and looking forward to getting water safety instructor, more water safety instructors, and being ready for the summer session. Summer hours will begin May 1st, so they're currently going, and they're up and ready for that. Next meeting will be May 9th, which is this Thursday at noon at Evans Plunge.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Parks, Recreation, Beautification, and Cultural Development, Marty?
Parks Committee will meet tomorrow here at the Baylor Civic Center at 3 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Planning and Zoning Commission, Allison?
Okay, Planning and Zoning met Wednesday, April 17th at City Hall. New business items were the Boulder Falls Business Park Campground interior lot line modifications. There just was a lot of questions regarding this possibility of having a campground there. A little bit of the information was, we knew some of it before they even come to planning and zoning, so there's going to be some ongoing discussions regarding that if it even goes forward. There was some questions regarding the lane access and the water drainage and how that needs to be platted, and as well as zoned. So you guys will be hearing more of that. There's another new business, Boulder Falls State USA lot separation. Looks like they are having some questions in regards to financing and looking at separating the pool area from the hotel area. And so there was just discussion surrounding parking compliance and how the two buildings would be separated, and firewall separation and frontage. And so I think there will be continued discussion on that as well. Bus barn from Prairie Hills Transit. The city had offered a couple sites that they were looking at, but it appears that they are going to be moving towards an existing building. And it was unsure at Planning and Zoning exactly what Prairie Hills Transit was asking from the city, so that will be continued as well. Discussion regarding the Olmsted City of Hot Springs land swap, that is in your packets tonight, and the only information that they discussed there was just kind of writing up an agreement for the city that way. And Fall River Hospital LTC expansion construction, the roof is on and building is weatherproof now, and our next meeting will be May 15th, 2019 at 7 p.m. at City Hall.
Yeah, thank you, Allison. Public Safety, Bill?
Public Safety Committee met on April 17th at 2 p.m. at City Hall. Present were Mayor Cotty, myself, Bob Nelson, Officer Zach Schaefer, Kim, Lori Sherrard, the city's safety coordinator, and we had 6 members from the public. There were no old business items discussed, as all of the new business items consumed our meeting. We'll follow up with the old business items on future meetings. Under new business, an impacted resident brought up the dust issues on School Street. After a discussion covering the background and actions by various city staff, it was determined that dust abatement by the company operating the gravel hauling trucks causing the issue has improved since the city engineer contacted the State Department of Environment and Natural Resources. A resident brought up concern for the need for enforcement of building codes regarding abandoned properties, and an action plan is being developed to address those concerns. A business owner brought up concerns over what he considered improper marking of some parking spaces, inadequate marking and the number of crosswalks, and the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on River Street. He provided pictures to Kim and many of the parking spots that he was concerned about. Kim and Lori provided the owner with their personal contact information in case additional items needed to be communicated. Those spaces considered improperly marked will be assessed and addressed as deemed appropriate by city staff and is being discussed in Public Works. This owner also expressed concern regarding a specific police officer, and since the concern regarded personal performance, all other visitors were requested to leave and a private meeting continued. Those concerns have been reviewed and assessed by Chief Close in this committee through interviews and review of body and dash camera recordings. The investigation revealed the officer's actions were appropriate and professional in all instances. These findings were reviewed with the owner at a meeting at City Hall on Wednesday, May 1st. The actual public safety meeting adjourned about 5 p.m. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 15th at 2 p.m. at City Hall.
Thank you, Bill. And I believe, Bob, you had something that you wanted to add.
Yes. I'd like to read portions of a news article from March 21st, 2019. Some of you folks probably have already seen it. Since I've been on the council, this is my third year. There's a lot of commonality in what the public is concerned with and what we talk about. And the police department is one of those topics that comes up more than others. But I'd like to read this to you. It's slain Washington State deputy, ID'd, mourned by community as one of our finest. Deputy Ryan Thompson, 42, was shot and killed, and a police officer was wounded after they exchanged gunfire with a road rage driving suspect Tuesday. A small community in central Washington State on Wednesday mourned the sheriff's deputy who was killed in a shootout with a road rage driving suspect, remembering the veteran officer as a family man and one of our finest. Sheriff's Deputy Ryan Thompson, 42, was shot dead Tuesday night after sure how to pronounce this, Kittitas, police officer Benito Chavez responded to a driving complaint and attempted to stop a vehicle. After a short pursuit, the suspect exited the car and exchanged gunfire with the officers, killing Thompson and wounding Chavez. The suspect was also shot and later died. Our community has a very heavy heart today. Last night we lost one of our finest, County Sheriff Gene Davis said at a news conference Wednesday morning. It was the first fatal shooting of a law enforcement officer in a rural community in 92 years. Won't read that last. For this to happen here, it's insane. You don't get that here. Ethan Keaton, a 17-year-old high school student, told the paper. Maybe you get pulled over for a DUI or speeding. You don't get people shot here. Josh Dunn, a 20-year-old who grew up in the town, told the paper. I don't even have a word for it. Thompson, a 15-year law enforcement officer, survived by his wife and 3 children. I read that to say this, the last part. This tight-knit community of 1,500 was stunned that such violence would descend on the town, whose website brands it as a place with the crime, noise, traffic jams, and pollution of larger cities. Tight-knit community of 1,500 people. You've often heard me say that I want Hot Springs to be Mayberry. I want my Mayberry back. Unfortunately, I don't think there's many Mayberries left in the United States, if any. So, is that saying that all city employees do everything right all the time? No. But I'm proud to be involved with the safety committee and Bill's chair and how we address issues. He had mentioned that we reviewed one last week. That's the third one I've sat in on. And the videos that I've viewed, we have very professional officers. And I just think it's important to point out that we need to support them as best we can. Tight-knit community of 1,500. We're a lot more than that. So to the law enforcement community, thank you for everything you do, and be safe out there.
Appreciate that. We will be looking for Barney 5 to help fill out our police force. But I do echo those comments, Bob and Bill. Thank you for the diligence that you research these complaints, and I again echo those comments. Our police force is very professional and willing to take correction if it's needed. But we found that the body cameras that you as a council have allowed our police to purchase are a very accurate judge of what takes place in any incident, and well worth the money, both protecting our police and protecting the people that we serve. So thank you very much. Public Works, Bob and Ray.
Public Works met April 30th at City Hall. Mayor Connie, Ray, Kim, Tracy, Scott, myself were present. Had 3 old business items. The brush piles, our favorite brush piles. When we met last week, the contractor is expected to begin chipping the brush piles this week. So we'll keep our hopes up and see if we start seeing chips flying out there. We talked about 805 South 11th Street. That's a property that needs to have a new access provided to it. Kim has drafted a letter to be sent to the property owner and an adjacent property owner listing several items that need corrected to allow vehicle access to the property. There's a couple references to how long the landowner has to provide access to their property. A portion of the letter that they received talks about cease and desist, and then another portion talks about 8 months to get the road repaired. We're working under the understanding that the property owner and the city have 8 months to get them access to their property. Prairie Hills Transit, Ellison talked a little bit about that. Prairie Hills Transit is considering the old Rick's Auto Building for their new bus barn, so discussions with them will need to continue. New business, the city has begun to identify streets that need some repair, some type of repair for the current year. The council set aside $50,000 to try to get our streets taken care of. That's not going to come anywhere near getting what needs taken care of, but we'll get started on it and do the best we can. We also talked about a handicap loading and unloading zone. The city discussed and agreed to use an existing curb cutout in the vicinity of the vault for a handicap loading unloading zone. Currently, there isn't any handicap loading unloading zone along this section of Main Street. The handicap marking of the curb will be included with the annual marking of city streets. We talked about code enforcement. Committee discussed and agreed more code enforcement is needed for private properties. Scott will continue to work additional enforcement into his workday. We had a business owner ask about the possibility of suspending their sewer fees in their off-season months. This business is typically closed from November through April with no discharge into the sewer system. Currently, city ordinance doesn't allow temporarily suspending sewer fees, but the possibility of an on-off season rate was discussed. This conversation will continue. The suspension bridge along North River Street. Discussion about a suspension bridge along North River Street continues. No formal decision to construct the bridge has been made. That's a decision for the full council. The committee does agree the bridge would enhance pedestrian safety along North River Street, and Mayor Cotty and Kim continue to work with the South Dakota Department of Transportation to convince them the bridge is not an enhancement, but rather a safety issue and should be funded by the state. Right? Anything on that?
No other comments.
All right. Our next Public Works meeting will be May 14th, 3 p.m. in City Hall.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Ray. Southern Hills Economic Development, Marty?
The Shedco Board met Friday, April 19th at the Winter Circle. I was unable to attend that meeting, however, I have notes and a summary from the update I received at the Executive Board meeting today. Number one item, Shedco, along with the city, continues to work diligently toward finding a business to fill the Shopco building. Without knowing the details, it looks as though there may be some positive development along those lines. Shedco Director Andrea Powers, along with 2 other board members, recently attended the SDSU, bear with me, it's a long title, SDSU Extension's Community Vitality Conference held in Lemon, South Dakota. This year's conference was titled Energize, Exploring Innovative Rural Communities. The 2-day conference included breakout sessions each day, which were divided into 4 categories, or tracks, as they were referred to in the conference schedule. Track 1 was money, funding community projects. Track 2, people, attracting and retaining residents. Track 3, business, supporting community businesses. And Track 4, young adults, engaging the next generation. Looked like some very interesting breakout sessions. Some examples of titles for the breakouts were in Track 2 for people, tips on tips, using tax increment financing for housing. For Track 4, young adults, small town embraces young leadership. Track 1 for money, spread the tunes to raise community funds. Being a musician, I kind of like that one. We have some fundraising concerts. Track 3, business, supporting community businesses, and the breakout session there, talent, recruitment, and retention in rural America. Shedco members found it to be an extremely educational, informative, and very well-attended conference. Next year's conference will be at an East River location. However, Shedco is applying to host the conference in Hot Springs in 2021. And it sounds like we might have a good in to be the potential host for that conference in 2021. SDSU students and professors will be here the last week in May to begin work on constructing the geothermal greenhouse near Edgemont. They will be making the trip 1 week out of every month this summer and early fall to continue work on the project. On the workforce housing front, Shedco recently launched a housing survey targeting employees from the State Veterans Home, Fall River Health Services, Hot Springs Ambulance Service, and the Hot Springs School District. Results of that survey are pending. And lastly, progress continues on the Build, Bulldoze, and Beautify grant. Allie DeMerseman from the Black Hills Council of Local Government will be attending the County Commissioners meeting, the next meeting on May 21st, to discuss the next steps in the Build, Bulldoze, and Beautify program. City council members who may be interested are encouraged to attend the County Commissioner meeting. The next Shedco board meeting will be May 17th at noon at the Winter Circle.
Thank you, Marty. Southern Hills Golf Course Advisory Committee, there was no committee meeting. I do want to note that Hot Springs Golf Course did host a high school girls golf tournament this past week. And by the way, it was won by our Hot Springs Bison girls golf team. So that's a a big win for them. Volunteer Fire Department, Ron?
Next meeting will be May 7th, 7 p.m. at the Hot Springs Volunteer Fire Department.
The Comprehensive Plan Coordinator, Sam?
No update.
Thank you. To move on in our agenda, the next two items are resolutions. Resolution 2019-11, the resolution to create a golf course horticulturalist position. It was recommended approval by the Admin and Finance Committee, and basically that position would handle landscaping chores at the golf course. I would accept a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-11, resolution to create SHGC horticulturalist position.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to create that position. Are there any comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We also have before you Resolution 2019-12, and that resolution to recommend changes to the 2020 Hot Springs Census tract boundaries. And that change is being made to give a more accurate picture of how our demographics break out here in Hot Springs, which will allow us to apply and be better positioned to apply for federal assistance and state assistance and grants, particularly in the area of utilities. There was a change to that, and you should have received that in your packages, that we would attach the maps to that resolution to ensure that we have an accurate description of what those tract boundaries are. Give you a moment to review those, and then I'll ask for a motion to accept that resolution 2019-12. And Kim, is there anything that you wanted to add to that?
I would just, this was a project that was started in January. Apparently at the 2010 and different censuses actually before that, somebody, and we don't know who, was responsible for laying out the tract boundaries. Maybe it was the people in Washington, D.C., and we just rubber stamped it, but they don't make any sense for us. So with this new census coming up, Stacy and I are both the people, Stacy from the Fall River County GIS, and I are the ones that get the census information. And we were both noticing that our tract boundaries don't do an adequate job of describing the different areas of town, which it's supposed to do. We're supposed to be able to have a good cross-section and have a good image painted by our census boundaries for the federal government, for taxing purposes, for relief purposes, for all sorts of things that the census is responsible for starting. So I'm just going to use the larger drawing here. We made some changes that would affect Fall River County in general. There were some very kind of crazy boundaries where they follow rivers, where nobody knows where the boundaries really are because you can't drive along them and say, okay, this is one track, this is another track. But you can see in this one that the blue line on the larger map is where the boundaries currently are. And again, they go cuts through neighborhoods, it zigzags up around the veterans home, and it cuts the golf course right in half. So what we ended up doing is saying, okay, the golf course is more typical of county type construction. So that part was relegated to being counted as part of a larger tract that was more rural. And the area down here, which is our lower population as far as poverty and lower income, We broke that out separate to be close to a section, and that area goes down all the way to Edgemont. And then the other area, both these two tracks here, on the left and the right, are actually very similar as far as age and size of properties and stuff like that. We kept those the same. We just made the lines of the boundaries follow the main highways as much as possible. The other thing that made it important to do is that you're limited to the number of people that you can put in any given track. It has to be within a certain size, and I think it's between 800 and 3,000 people or something like that. So we had to also manage those populations to make sure that they were all balancing out. And we did that easily. We just don't have that kind of population really bust out too much. But what this does, if we kept the 2010 lines, our entire town in all three tracks say that we're the same median wage and same median houses, which isn't true. This way, the golf course will be considered a little bit higher. The area with the trailer homes and apartments will be considered less. And then the other neighborhoods will be considered what they are. They are our median households. What this does is whenever the federal government has programs to help lift our poverty, to help do, we had this whenever I was in Connecticut, where a specific census boundary, if you owned your own home, you basically didn't pay any property taxes. And you were able to fix up your property with a 0% loan. And they did all sorts of ways for you to improve your home and stay in it. That would actually be an opportunity for us now that they know that we have areas that meet that requirement. Up until now, they look at us and everybody's the same. So these were the changes that we made. Stacy and I worked together. We also included some other people from the assessor's office, and we also included Andrea Powers in our discussions. And this is what we came up with, and we thought it best described our particular tracks within our community.
Okay, thank you. After hearing that, and should have had an opportunity to review those in your packages, I would ask a motion to approve Resolution 2019-12.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-12.
I'll second that.
A resolution to recommend changes to the 2020 Hot Springs Census Tract boundaries to include attached maps.
You still second that?
I second that.
Okay, thanks. Now that we do have a motion and second, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We move on to new business. We have a possible motion and discussion to approve a tax abatement from Marvin Underwood and Connie Ulmer. This was submitted by the Fall River County Department of Equalization. I believe, Bill, you attended those meetings?
Yes, I did.
So I'd accept a motion to approve that tax abatement.
I'll make a motion to approve the requested tax abatement from Marvin Underwood and Connie Ulmer as submitted by Susie Simpkins from the Fall River County Department of Equalization.
A second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this tax abatement. And Bill, do you have any information that you could share with the council as to what all this involved?
I believe this particular abatement request has to do with a filing. The request is a late, it had to do with freezing the application because of age, and it was just, the application was like a day late. And so normally, if this had been filed on time, this would have been granted, and it would have just gone through with the normal abatement process. And so because the application did come in a little bit late. The county is requesting, per South Dakota Codified Law, that we as a council approve this abatement.
Okay.
I have the dollar amount too. The amount to abate is $1,222.26. Their effective rate, had they turned that in on time, their tax would have been $1,069 as opposed to $2,291. So we are still collecting property tax just on that lower amount they do qualify for.
Okay. So we do have a motion and a second to approve this requested tax abatement. Are there any further questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We move on to item B. We have a possible motion in discussion to approve, and I stress the word temporary easement, between the city and Jolie and William Christensen for a fence that was erected on the city's right-of-way. If you remember, that's on the Durham Road access, or Durham Trail access to our water tower, and they constructed a fence along the road rather than going down into a deep gully to do that fence. We want to make it a temporary easement in the event that that area does get further developed, that we don't have an obstacle like we have in the past, barring that road being used as a street as we develop. So you do have a copy of that easement in your packages. It has been reviewed and prepared by our legal counsel, and I would ask for a motion to approve that temporary easement.
Make a motion to approve the temporary easement between the city and Jolie and William Christensen for a fence that was erected within the city's right-of-way.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve that temporary easement. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
You had asked this to be tabled at the last council meeting because you had some concern with the language in it. It's back in front of us. So you're satisfied with the changes that have been made?
Yes. The last council meeting, if you remember, it was not a temporary easement. It was an actual eternal easement, or I don't know if that's a good legal term for it, but that's the best I could think of at the time. And yes, that wording has been changed.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have next on the agenda the possible motion and discussion to approve and sign the land swap contract between the City of Hot Springs, Don and Kathy Olstad, as agreed upon in Resolution 2018-19. As you know, this is part of our Canton property and the property by our old armory to make both of those functional for developing workforce housing. This has been discussed a long time. I would ask for a motion to sign that land swap. You do have a copy of that contract in front of you, and I would ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the land swap contract between the City of Hot Springs and Don and Kathy Olstad as agreed upon in Resolution 2018-19.
Been moved and seconded that we approve and sign that land swap. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I just want to let the council know that I'm going to abstain from this vote since I've had a long working relationship with Dawn on planning and zoning, and we have enough here to vote. So just wanted to let the council know that.
Okay. We'll accept that reason. And if you'll note that, Misty. Any other questions or comments?
I just clarify exactly which two parcels are.
Okay. What we're doing, On the Armory property, there is a sliver of land that actually butts up against the Armory. That is a lot, and that is required if that Armory property is developed into housing, or if that Armory is remodeled, to have a sewer easement across that property, and it also would accommodate a workforce home there. If the Armory were raised, we could make a small development, much like we did at Canton Street. Mr. Olstad is taking one of the lots along Canton Street, and he will be constructing, or his plans are to construct 2 small duplexes, specifically designed for elderly folks that are downsizing. Again, that supports our workforce housing initiative by those folks moving out of affordable homes into the smaller homes, and that's, I think, is a summary. Does anyone else have anything to add to that? That answer your...
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, then, I would ask all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And a note, we did have 1 abstention. Item D, we have a possible motion and discussion to approve waiving the 3 park application fees for the 2019 Main Street Arts and Crafts Fair schedule for June 28th, 29th, and 30th. And this came before you as a council last meeting. I asked that be referred to the Admin and Finance Committee for a recommendation. As you know, and I want to make sure the public understands, we as a city also do provide service during that, picking up the trash, making sure the bathrooms are clean and so forth. The Main Street Arts and Crafts Fair has grown into a great event in our community, bringing people from all over to come and attend and display their wares and even purchase items and spend money in our town, so it's a valuable event. And I know it was discussed in great detail both in Parks and Recs and also in the Admin Finance. I would accept a motion to approve waiving those park fees for the Arts and Crafts Fair.
Make a motion to approve waiving 3 park application fees for the 2019 Main Street Arts and Crafts Fair scheduled June 28th, 29th, and June 30th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve waiving those application fees. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to share some things. I think I heard this, to make a little clarification, that this motion just waives the application fee. It's my understanding that the Main Street Arts and Crafts Fair still pays the electrical fee. And as they've done in the past, that Jerry shared, is they do a really good job of cleaning up the trash. So it's not like our crews have to come in and do a major trash hauling. So they really clean up after themselves very well. Plus, all of their vendors fill out the paperwork for sales tax. So the city does collect sales tax on the sales that are made. So it is, the only thing that the city's missing out on is, in this case, $60 worth of application fees. And as was discussed earlier, that application fee is really so that people will hold to their reservation. And they've got 43 years of history saying that they're going to hold to their reservation. So just, again, a very positive contribution, and that's the only thing that they're not, that's the only thing that's the only thing that's being waived. So again, Jerry, thanks for coming today and sharing everything that you did.
And Marty, did you have anything to add from the Parks and Rec Committee? Is this would that be a recommendation? What would your recommendation be from that committee?
Yes, rather than, when earlier we had discussions about possible ordinance changes, and there was some complications with identifying nonprofit organizations, but in talking to several other parks directors from other cities as well, what we've sort of come to the consensus with parks anyway is that something like the Farmers Market and the Main Street Arts and Crafts Festival are something like cities have, like Rapid City has done council votes where they've designated something as a community activity. So I guess the differentiation there is that it is something that is open to the public, and that's what Bob had mentioned. We may look at down the road, looking at what qualifies or what criteria can be used to identify events that are open to the public and that they are responsible for cleaning up, and also that they are open to having the vendors or apply for having the vendors pay the taxes as well. So that was our consensus.
Okay, thank you. And again, I know there have been two committees that have reviewed this and made recommendations. Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of waiving these fees signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have also in your packages a legal services contract from Beasley Law Office for legal services. I'd ask for a motion to approve that contract.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the legal services contract from Beasley Law Office PC for legal services from 5/1/19 to 4/30/20.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve that contract. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Again, basically the same contract that we had last year, with the exception, I believe we've added a paralegal to that, to their staff.
And a small increase to the rate, $15 an hour.
And a small increase in the rates. Thanks, Misty, for bringing that up.
I wouldn't have, but you brought up the paralegal question.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a possible motion and discussion to approve a memorandum of agreement with our VA for the transitional work services, and that is to increase the hourly compensation rate from $9 to $9.50 per hour. You do have a copy of that contract in your packages. I'd ask for a motion to approve that agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement with VA for CWT Transitional Work Services, amended to increase hourly compensable rate from $9 to $9.50 an hour.
Second that.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we do approve that memorandum of agreement. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have before you a motion to discuss and renew the following 2019-2020 malt beverage licenses. And you have a list in your packages and also here in this motion of those businesses that will be requesting to renew their license. We do have one business, and it is the recommendation of the police chief that all of these businesses be granted their malt beverage licenses. However, we may possibly be considering some action against one of the businesses listed here, but we're waiting a Department of Revenue ruling to rule on that. So it was Chief Close's recommendation to approve all of these. I would ask for a motion to renew those businesses.
I'll make a motion to renew the following 2019 through 2020 malt beverage licenses. American Legion Post number 71, Big Bats LLC, Big Time Pizza, Black Hills Pizza Hut, Boulder Falls Incorporated, DBA Stay USA, Buffalo Dreamer Restaurant LLC, China Buffet Incorporated, CS Inc., DBA Winter Circle, Dakota Mart, DBA Dakota Mart, Dolgan Midwest LLC, DBA Dollar General Store, Frankie's Place LLC, G2 Lawn Service, DBA The Volt, M&G Oil Company, DBA Corner Pantry number 11A and 11B, Sancho's Bar and Grill, Southern Hills Golf Course, the Buffalo Steakhouse, and Woolies Western Grill.
Okay, and one thing was the G2 Lawn Service, DPA, the Vault. I don't believe I heard that being mentioned.
I said it before, I said Dolgan Midwest.
Yeah.
Pardon?
He just switched it.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure we got everything. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve those malt beverage licenses. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those licenses are approved. We also have before you a public hearing possibility on the 20th of May meeting to consider an application from Family Dollar stores to have a alcoholic beverage license, retail on-off malt beverage in South Dakota Farm, on-off retail on-off sale wine and cider license, and that would be on 2244 University Avenue. So I'd accept a motion to approve that setting of that public hearing.
Go for it, Marty.
I couldn't do it together. I'll make a motion to set a public hearing on 5/20/2019 at 7:10 p.m. to consider the application from Family Dollar Stores of South Dakota LLC for the following alcoholic beverage licenses: retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota Farm wine, and retail on-off sale wine and cider license to be used at 2244 University Avenue.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we set that public hearing. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
Does this mean, are they going to put a bar next door?
No, it means they're going to sell. They're going to sell.
They're not going to have, it says on-off sale, so.
Because they changed the law to not have any strictly off last year is when it was.
Good question. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of setting that public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a possible motion and discussion to approve a temporary alcoholic beverage license application from the CS Incorporated, that's Winter Circle, to be used at a disaster event benefit dinner on the 16th of May. I'd ask for a motion to approve that temporary beverage license.
I'll make a motion to approve a temporary alcoholic beverage license application from CS Inc., doing business as Winter Circle, to be used at 801 South 6th Street for the disaster event benefit dinner on May 16th, 2019.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve that temporary alcoholic beverage license. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Item J also is a request to approve a temporary alcoholic beverage license. This is from the Vault to be used at Centennial Park, and this is for the Challenge Hot Springs event on May 27th.
I make a motion to approve a temporary alcohol beverage license application for the Hot Springs Vault to be used at Centennial Park for the Challenge Hot Springs event on 5/27/19.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this alcoholic beverage license. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You also have item K, which is a motion and discussion to surplus some ink cartridges that are no longer needed. I would ask for a motion to approve surplusing these items.
Make a motion to surplus the following ink cartridges no longer needed by the city maintenance department. 5 cyan LC51C, 8 yellow LC51Y, 6 black LC51BK, 2 cyan HP Photosmart 02, 1 yellow HP Photosmart 02, and 1 magenta HP Photosmart 02.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we surplus these ink cartridges. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those cartridges are surplus. We have a motion and discussion to approve a travel request. This is for Chris Hampson, our Evans Plunge Facility Director, to attend the Black Hills Badlands Parks and Attraction meeting in Rapid City. That's on the 7th of May. It's tomorrow. Are there any, I'd accept a motion to approve that travel.
Make a motion to approve travel request for Chris Hansen, EPMS Facility Director, to attend the Black Hills and Badlands Parks and Attractions meeting in Rapid City, 5/7/2019.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve that travel request. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You also have a motion and discussion to approve travel for Jen Winscott, one of our police officers, to attend a criminal interdiction workshop in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And that would be 8/12 to 8/15/19.
Make a motion to approve the travel request for Officer Jen Winscott to attend the criminal interdiction workshop in Cheyenne, Wyoming, 8/12 to 8/15/19.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve that travel request for Officer Winscott. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have motion discussion to approve a travel request for Officer Zach Schaefer. And this is to attend a rescheduled Glock Armors course. You remember you as a council approved one earlier for him to attend one of those in Pierre. This one is in Mitchell in July, and we need to resubmit that because he will be needing a place to stay overnight. I'd accept a motion to approve that travel request.
Make a motion to approve travel request from Officer Zach Schaefer to attend the rescheduled Glock Armorers course in Mitchell, South Dakota, July 24th through 25th.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve that travel request for Officer Schaefer. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well, that finishes our business. I just do want to make a comment. Last week was a very hectic week, and we missed one item that should have been on the agenda tonight. That was a replot. That will be on the agenda next week. I apologize to Ken Gonzager, and hope that our missing that does not create a undue hardship for them. Secondly, I would like to thank the council and our staff. There were a lot of things that we discussed and decided tonight very important for our community. And we have used the committee system very well. A lot of hard work goes in and a lot of extra time by you as a council researching answers to these, and I really appreciate that effort. And Kim, pass on to the department heads, and you and Misty do an outstanding job of providing accurate information so that we can make good decisions. It's not just a rubber stamp here. These items have been researched and discussed thoroughly, and I thank you for all your efforts. With that said, I'd ask we move on to Finance Officer report.
Thank you, George. You do not have your April month-end Finance Officer report with the financials. That will be available at the May 20th meeting. I wanted to focus my time and attention during this meeting on the 2018 annual report. So in your council packets and available to the public is and will be published in our paper, is the annual report for the city for all of 2018. The format of this report and the way we report this data is prescribed by the Department of Legislative Audit. It separates our governmental funds from our enterprise or proprietary funds because the reporting for each of those is different. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over these numbers, but I do have some highlights to share with you. As you review the report, the governmental funds come first, and we have our general fund, our liquor, lodging, and dining fund, our additional sales tax fund, our bid fund, which you heard Olivia talk about earlier, our Hot Springs Capital Improvement Fund, and our Cemetery Perpetual Care Fund. So those are all the governmental funds that make up our financials. As you heard George mention earlier, some of the major revenues in our general fund include property taxes and then our general sales and use tax. Those are heavy hitters for revenue, but all of the sources of revenue are accounted for and then tracked and shared with you on this report based on different items that legislative audit wants to see. So if you look at some of these numbers, and I think earlier I used the example of protective inspection. If you're looking at expenses for protective inspection and you don't remember a department of the city being called that, that's accurate. There's not. So if you were wondering what adds up for that, I'd be happy to share it with you because it is accounted for. We do have it. But this is the way they want us to report it at a state level. So when they're trying to compare expenses that one city may have for street cleaning with another, it's all reported on these reports similar. After revenue, we total expenses, and then we separate transfers in and out. We have several of those. They're all approved by council. None happen without your approval. But some of the transfers include the subsidies that general fund gets from water and wastewater. And really it's not subsidy, it's kind of support, administrative support assistance. And then our transfers from the water and sewer fund for all the city charged accounts that use those services, those are other transfers we do. Also in 2018, a very big transfer was approved by the council. It included $420,000 that we had previously approved for the lighting improvements during the 2021 road reconstruction. We decided to set that money aside, and if you remember, at the beginning of 2018, we created a restricted cash account in our 212 fund to save for these 2021 road reconstruction projects. So that $420,000 was taken from the general fund and transferred into our 212 or additional sales tax fund in that restricted account, so we could set it aside. That big transfer affected the increase or decrease in fund balance in both our general fund, our 101 fund, and our 212 additional sales tax fund. So as you look at those numbers, we had a decrease for the year in our fund balance in the general fund of $105,000. Typically, that would be a bit more alarming. You want to identify what expense that you have that was so much greater than the revenue you brought in. But in this case, we know it's the result of moving that money. So same thing when you look at the 212 fund and you say, wow, we have $545,000 more in that fund in 2018. That number is also impacted by that transfer. So you'd see less startling effects on those if it weren't the result of that transfer. After the increase or decrease in fund balance in the governmental funds, we break out the ending balance in the account by non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned totals. And then after that, our total governmental long-term debt, which is just right under $1.5 million. On the third page is where we account for our proprietary funds. These are accounted for differently. The manner is similar to private businesses, and we are not required to break out the detail in the manner that we are the governmental funds. So you just see revenue, expenses, transfers in and out, and then the ending balances and the long-term debt for our water fund, our wastewater fund, our solid waste fund, our golf course fund, and our Evans Fund fund. Finally, on the annual report, you'll see all the depositories where our municipal funds are. That has to be approved by council. It can't just move money to a bank you haven't approved me to sit it in. There's also a state law that talks about how those banks need to be collateralized to hold public dollars. We have, at the end of 2018, we had $4,798,000 roughly in our Wells Fargo bank account, $336,000 in our Bank of the West account, and $421,000 in our First Interstate Bank account, for a total of about $5.5 million. I just want to go over a few of the highlights. These are all numbers, but all these numbers are tied to actions and activities that happened in our city. These are only some of the many, many things that went on in 2018. If I've left something out that should be mentioned, I'd like to include it, so let me know. In the general fund, property taxes collected were $1,044,779. This amount was $48,383 less than the amount levied and budgeted for. General sales and use tax collection was $1,643,065, which exceeded our budgeted amount by $77,764. All of our property taxes and 2/3 of the general sales and service and use tax are deposited into our general fund. That money provides the funding for all of the primary functions of our city government. There are 25 departments in the general fund funded with these dollars. 2018 total general fund revenue was projected at $2,655,008, and of that, $2,912,541.13 was collected. General sales, service, and use tax, building permits, motor vehicle license fees, and local government highway and bridge fund revenues all exceeded projections. I lost my place. Current year general property tax, animal licenses and fines, liquor tax reversion, and library fines are some of the areas where our revenue projections fell short. 2018 expenditures in the general fund were $3,017,843 against a budgeted amount of $3,249,412. A number of additional appropriations were made during 2018 to cover unexpected unbudgeted items like legal fees, health insurance premiums, the purchase of our asphalt zipper, animal boarding fees incurred as a result of the dog bite case, unexpected vehicle and building repairs, new handheld radios for our police department, and some needed technology upgrades were all added to the budget throughout the year. In 2018, expenditures exceeded revenues by $105,302.35, but again, the major factor affecting that was that transfer. 1% of the sales tax charged on the gross receipts of all sales related to liquor, lodging, prepared food, and admissions is deposited into our liquor, lodging, and dining fund, or our 211 fund. In 2018, $170,279.13 was collected in this fund, and $154,086.60 was spent. 80% of the collected tax is remitted by the city to the Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce to provide support and promote the city. The remaining 20% is used to pay for utilities and some of the building repairs at the Mueller Center and the depot. In 2018, $50,850 was spent from the general fund to do repairs to a portion of the Mueller Center roof. The 211 fund did not have adequate reserves or income to cover the expense of the roof repairs. This continuing rise in costs, utility costs, and building upkeep and repairs will be topics of discussion during upcoming budget meetings. The remaining 1/3 of the above-mentioned general sales, service, and use tax is deposited into our 212 or additional sales tax fund. This fund was established by ordinance used for debt service, street improvements, street maintenance equipment, building construction, building upkeep and repair, and any other expense deemed necessary and approved by the council. Again, this one was impacted by that $420,000. Revenue received into the fund in 2018 was $868,151.56, and expenses were $742,797.88. In 2019, this fund is budgeted to utilize cash reserves of $320,220, and those were expenses exceeding our estimated revenues. That amount is to cover our portion of the Jennings Bridge replacement project, which is expected to be about $450,000. We hope that project gets done this year, so we may be keeping that money in reserves and appropriating in the red next year if it doesn't, to cover that expense. The Business Improvement District, or the BID Fund, you heard Olivia talking about the close partnership the city and the BID Fund and the Chamber all have for promoting our city. It's fully funded by a $2 per night fee collected from transient guests of lodging establishments located within the boundaries of the city. In 2018, the city changed the ordinance to expand the business boundaries the district boundaries, in order to allow all commercial lodging establishments, including bed and breakfast, located within the city to participate. In 2018, $36,450 were spent with Lawrence and Schiller in advertising. Those funds spent were matched dollar for dollar, up to $40,000, by the state of South Dakota Department of Tourism, as you heard her mention. So that helps us get a big bang for our dollar and get more advertising out there at all the different venues and locations and places that she talked about. In 2018, the bid fund receipted in $92,885 in revenues and paid expenditures of $66,392. This fund has contributed annually towards the social media coordinator position. The city contributes and the chamber contributes to that position as well, and has helped the city to light up our welcome signs and complete many other projects other than the marketing and advertising that they pay for. Our 501 fund, or capital improvement fund, was established in November 2013 by Ordinance 1138. The purpose of this fund is to be used to account for financial resources related to special projects throughout the community. In 2018, the fund received $7,450.60 in revenue. The amount was the result primarily of a $5,000 donation from the Roger Fisher estate and the transfer of general fund dollars from the recreation budget that accounts for the baseball instructor and assistants earned and unpaid wages, which are set aside for baseball improvements. In 2018, the fund expended $8,574.90. These expenses included $5,870 paid to the Hot Springs Rotary Club in support of the newly built covered stage at Centennial Park, and $2,704.90 on baseball field improvements. The city once again lit up our town during the holiday season, even though no donations were received to do so in 2018. This fund received and spent 100% of donated dollars in the past to help facilitate the start of the Light Up Our Town project. The general fund paid salaries and wages of all employees whose efforts support the project and all utility expenses, replacement lights, and additional decorations that were purchased in 2018. The last governmental fund for the city, the Cemetery Perpetual Care Fund, was established to account for the payments received for the perpetual care of our cemetery. One half of the payment collected for the sale of lots in the cemetery is placed in this fund, and a minimum of $50,000 is required per SDCL 93218. Any amounts in excess of this amount can be spent on the care and improvements of the cemetery. In 2018, revenues were $3,895.83, and no expenses were incurred. The following funds are our enterprise funds. The water fund took in $906,941.68 in revenue and had $1,004,018.50 in expenses. The total expenses have capitalized asset purchases removed and $207,000 $19.42 of depreciation included. Some of the major capital projects completed this year include replacement of the PRV valve, which stands for pressure reducing valve, at 25th Street, purchase of a new equipment trailer, purchase of a 2018 Chevy Silverado pickup, 25% of the asphalt zipper purchase, and a chain link fence installed around the 2 million gallon tank. In 2018, the water fund took $450,000 of cash reserves and opened a CD to set aside the money for the projected costs related to the waterline infrastructure improvements that will occur in conjunction with the 2021 road reconstruction project. In late 2018, effective for January 1, 2019, Council voted to amend the water ordinance. The revisions included increases to both the fixed and variable water usage rates. With the new higher rate, the city is now eligible to apply for SD, DENR, SRF, and USDA RD grant dollars. In 2018, the city passed a resolution of necessity for 26th Street water distribution improvements. This project is currently underway, and once finished, the assessments will occur and repayments will begin. The wastewater fund took in $761,227.31 in revenues and had $704,548.61 in expenses. The total expenses also have capitalized asset purchases removed and $234,420.09 of depreciation included. Some of the major capital projects completed this year include a Houston Avenue sewer project, roof replacement at the wastewater treatment plant. They also purchased a new 2018 Chevy Silverado pickup. They did a 17th Street sewer line replacement. They bought a new cover and deck for the new wet well, and they also chipped in 25% of the purchase for the asphalt zipper. The wastewater fund also took existing cash reserves to open a CD and set aside for the wastewater infrastructure improvements that will occur in conjunction with the road reconstruction project. This fund established a $600,000 CD, and at the same time the water ordinance was revised, so was the wastewater ordinance, and they also saw a small increase to rates charged for services for the same reasons. The solid waste fund receives and pays out 100% of the money collected for the garbage service, including optional residential recycling, provided to utility customers through a contract with Fall River Sanitation. This contract began January 2016 and terminates on December 31st, 2021. It has an option to renew for a period of up to 3 additional years with mutual consent. This fund also receives the $2.25 city fee charged to users. These additional funds are used to dispose of city trash along roadways and parks throughout the year, maintain the brush piles at the maintenance shop, maintain, repair, and replace trash receptacles throughout the city, and to dispose of the refuge that's accumulated by the city during the free cleanup events. Your report includes all of the cleanup that they did at the last one. Revenues collected this year totaled $199,572.62, and expenses totaled $173,834.99. 2 more to go. Thanks for sticking with me. It's a lot, but it's important. The Southern Hills Golf Course consists of 2 separate departments, the golf course and the clubhouse. Expenses are accounted for in each department, but they both share in the revenue collected to fund the operations. The Southern Hills Golf Course became an enterprise fund in 2014. Revenues collected do not support expenses incurred, so each year the fund receives subsidies transferred from the 212 fund to support operations. The amount of the subsidy this year was $68,000. Revenue of the golf course is also impacted by significant transfer in related to the expense of utility services, mainly water usage at the course. Excluding the transfers in, Southern Hills Golf Course collected $390,105.53 in revenues. After the transfers, the amount of revenue is $611,780.94. Expenses totaled $596,972.34. Total expenses include the removal of capital asset purchases in the year and depreciation expense of $97,193.32. In 2018, a major improvement of a portion of the irrigation system was completed by Triple Creek LLC. We also purchased satellites, software, and support in order to upgrade and modernize our irrigation control system. We purchased 2 Greensmaster mowers, and the Pro Shop began using and paying lease payments for the brand new fleet of golf carts. Evans Plunge also had insufficient revenue to support expenditures. Therefore, this fund received a subsidy from the 212 fund. The dollar amount of this subsidy has decreased each year since the city purchased the facility in 2013. And in 2018, the total subsidy was $45,000. EPMS revenue and expenses are both impacted by the transfers related to the city-provided utility services. Excluding those transfers in, the total revenue they collected was $717,071.99. Adding in both transfers, their total revenue was $770,576.94. Expenses totaled $715,480.95. Again, with capital asset purchases removed, and they had $47,778.36 of depreciation included. They had capital asset purchases which were related to improvements in their HVAC in an attempt to automate the system. Other significant improvements include new windows and glass door in the slide tower, repaired stucco on the outside of the building, a new overlay sprayed on the ladies' locker room floor, and $5,800 in repairs to their broken lockers. The debt related to the purchase of the building was paid down by $85,000, and interest expense of $63,760.21 was incurred. The remaining principal balance on the debt related to the purchase of this facility is $1,505,000. In 2018, we added the following debt-related expenses. The general fund added annual payments of $34,068 for the next 5 years to lease a new street sweeper. After 5 years, we'll have a buyout option at $70,000. The additional sales tax fund added 2 annual payments for the paving of the roads in the Boulder Falls subdivision. The special assessment bond issue has annual payments of roughly $150,000 for the next 10 years. And the sales tax revenue bond issue has annual payments of $34,000 for the next 15 years. The Southern Hills Golf Course added annual payments of $25,100 for the next 5 years for the 40 new golf carts, which are leased to own. As we add expenses, it's always important to consider what revenue source we'll use to make the ongoing payments. We must continue to look for ways to grow our tax base and continue to support growth in our community. This may mean leading the charge in some areas and simply offering our support in others whenever and wherever we're able. I don't mean to say we should take ownership of every project presented to us. We simply must be frugal with our limited resources, and focus first should be on the operations and responsibilities of the city. Maintaining and hopefully growing the services we're currently providing and keeping up with required maintenance and repairs of our existing assets and infrastructure is an important focus. We need to focus our efforts and attention around seeking out and applying for any and all grant funding opportunities that may allow us to continue with improvements to our equipment, facilities, and community without putting a significant burden on our department budget and our taxpayers. The city is still committed to being financially prepared to face the upcoming challenges and expenses related to the 2021 road reconstruction project. We must continue to actively set aside funds to help pay for those expenses and build back up any used reserves. Moving forward, I recommend a renewed focus and commitment to collecting all revenues due to the city and ensuring each and every purchase is needed, necessary, and follows the guidelines established in our city procurement policy. We all know the cost of everything goes up, including wages, supplies, and materials. We have to adjust our fees sometimes and expenses if we want to maintain the services we provide, but we are going to focus our attention on each dollar being spent and make sure that we fulfill our ongoing responsibility to our taxpayers and our community. Thank you for listening to all that. I do encourage all of you to thoroughly review this and our audit information, and please please ask any questions you have.
Okay, thank you, Misty. City Administrator, Kim?
Well, it has been a very, very busy time. We did finish up on the free dump week last week. I haven't gotten the tags left from the amount of tonnage. I think Karen just received those this morning. But they said it was probably the busiest week that we've had in probably 3 years as far as, and the snow did not stop anybody from coming. They were working on, even on the snow days. So kudos to those guys. They work really hard. Their customer service during those periods are fantastic. Even if somebody brings stuff that they're not supposed to, you know, it goes smoothly and effortlessly. So they do a great job there. The 26th Street Water Improvement District that Misty was talking about, it's continuing. It had a bit of a hiccup while we had other water line issues to take care of, but they're back at it and laid 140 feet of pipe just today in this weather. So they're moving along quite quickly. We are meeting tomorrow with a specialist in wastewater treatment plants. He's a engineer with a local construction company. And we're looking at possible repairs to our wet well. I'm not sure if you guys know much about it, but for some reason, the architect or person who designed it put the wet well, which is a very kind of caustic thing, in the garage underneath the floor. And the acids have started eating away at some of the concrete, so we're looking at how to repair that and look at getting a liner in to help prevent that from happening again. So we'll be meeting tomorrow on that. Been meeting just about every day with Billy from our street department regarding pothole repairs. This winter was particularly hard on our streets. Areas that have been fine in the past have just broken up. Our options for repair are quite limited. Batch plants aren't opened up yet. The cold patch that's available to us is really no good. So we're looking at temporary solutions until we can get permanent solutions in place. So what you're going to be finding is that we're going to be trying to use our best pulverized road millings and put it in with some oil and just tamp it in as hard as we can to buy us some time until we can get some good patching material on hand. We're also going to be looking at a series of road repairs. There's some areas that have just broken up so bad that entire sections of roads need to be repaired. And we're making a plan for how that's going to happen and how we're going to do some other road maintenance work over the next couple of months. So that's one of the things that Billy, Tracy, and I have been working on a great deal. At Evans Plunge, the tourist season is working up. We are still looking and hiring for lifeguards. It's a constant battle. We had interviewed 11, offered 8 to take the test, and 2 showed up for it. So we're getting a little frustrated with that. We need to have the coverage to cover us through the summer season. And like Bob was talking about, we are looking at bonuses. We're looking at anything that can incite people that not only is it a great place to work, but you want to come every day. Not just take it on the days that you don't have anything else better to do. We're going to be looking at some fresh new marketing. We're in the process of designing our own sign after trying to work with different sign companies. We decided that we could do a better job at a much reduced rate for a better impact. You'll see that along with some other things to try and really perk up the outside of the facility as part of our marketing campaign to kind of say kind of a new day here at Evans Plunge. As Bill was talking, we are going to be having the Hot Springs Airport Fly-In Family Fun Day on June 6th. Things like tethered balloon rides, where we have Chopper from the National Guard that's going to be coming down. We have flower drop target practice where the kids can go up on the plane and drop packages of flour to see who hits the target. We're also having a ping pong drop with 50 prizes. I think they're looking at 500 ping pong balls to be dropped, and of those, 50 are going to have prizes associated with them that you can pick up at the hangar. Breakfast is going to be served by the local Fall River 4-H, and lunch is going to be served by our Lions. It's a great all-day family kind of a situation, but it does start early, 6 o'clock tethered balloon rides, and if the wind is bad, we might have them as a walk-in balloon, and it always is weather permitting. So that's to look forward to. Summer Rec is taking registrations right now. It ends on May 24th. Do not wait to the end. It gets a little crazy at City Hall. A lot of great programs. We have some new things this year, like a photography class, which is already full. It was the first thing to sell out, so pretty exciting about that. Also, our summer reading program is getting ready as well. They're having their kickoff at the Fly-In Family Fun Day, and they're going to be there to help register for the last moment kids who want to be involved in the reading program. You can register online now at the library website. And I think that's mostly what's been going on.
Okay, well, thank you, Kim. A lot going on. Just a couple of things that I'd like to highlight. Last council meeting, I believe I announced that we would be looking at closing our animal carcass pit, mainly because we just don't have any more space. And the editor of the Fall River Herald pointed out that we've got a problem in our state, in particular our area of the state, with possible chronic wasting disease, and so did a very good article in the paper concerning that, and caused us to maybe take another look and see if we want to keep that open. There are 25 of those pits in the state. 24 of them are either located outside of city limits or on the edge of cities. We're the only one that has one in the middle of town. And I did have an opportunity to visit that as I stopped by the free dump week, and I thank our city crews for taking care of that. It was very busy that day that I was there. But I went to view the carcass pit, and there was a cat down there feasting on one of the carcasses. So it's just something that that I think does not belong in the middle of our city, along with the stench and the fact that we're running out of room. It takes additional manpower and effort to cover that every night, as we're required to by the Department of Natural Resources to maintain our permit. But I have called the Game Fish and Parks office in Pierre, and one of the alternate solutions may be to get a dumpster located somewhere in around our local area, especially during the hunting season, which would help hunters discard the unused portion of their deer, and also provide a way for some Game Fish and Parks to test for chronic wasting disease. They want to make sure they get ahead of that. So we'll be working on that, but at least for the time being, we're open, and we'll be getting some more information and make a final decision here shortly. As I was there at the maintenance yard, the brush pile is going down, Bob. That machine is eating that brush at a rapid rate, and we're sure hoping we can find a market for the chips that we produce from that. I don't know if I really appreciate I had an opportunity to sit down this week with Shedco, with Andrea Powers, and talk about some things that, of course, of interest to us is getting the Shopco building filled. I know you may have read in the paper a letter to the editor of someone who said to call headquarters Walmart to get a Walmart Express here in Hot Springs. And I know I received a a phone call, an answering machine on that particular, requesting that we make every attempt to do that. Walmart in 2016 quit the Walmart Express idea that it was not accomplishing what they had intended it to do, so that will be probably a no-go. Again, we hope we can get some kind of good retail business located there, particularly a farm ranch store might be a good fit. And again, I think as we've reviewed the financials, it's important for us to keep our businesses vibrant and our economy developing, and also allowing people to have the opportunity to own their own homes, which we are trying to do, and I appreciate you as a council helping us look forward to make sure those things get accomplished. Our sales tax, it looks like for this year so far, is only up about 1%. That's got me a little bit concerned after reading an article in the Municipal League. Apparently Congress at the national level provided, or put a rider onto one of the bills that the internet tax that had been grandfathered in, the internet sales tax would be eliminated. And so South Dakota and particularly Hot Springs would not get those revenues, those sales tax revenues. So that's something that we will have to be concerned about as we prepare next year's budget and go through the rest of this year. That would take place, I think, at mid-year when that would come into effect. Another thing that I wanted to highlight that Bob mentioned in his report, the Veterans Walkway, the suspended sidewalk that we have envisioned to provide additional safety along River Street is not a done deal. We are working very hard to put a case together to present to the state DOT, Office of Economic Development, Tourism, and to the governor to obtain some assistance in funding that. We feel very adamantly that they owe us a sidewalk and not taking away from the sidewalk on our business district, and we need a safe downtown. We hope to capitalize in that and making it a gathering spot, much like, as I've mentioned before, Rapid City's Market Square or Outlaw Square in Deadwood. And that was getting those people downtown provides a stepping stone for businesses to grow. And as you heard Misty's report, we need that sales tax revenue to continue to provide the services that we do as a city. I did also include in your an email to you this week to give you the particulars on the Prairie Hills Transit bus garage that we had planned to donate the land for. They threw us a little bit of a curveball, found that out through the State Department of Transportation. And I just wanted you to have that information so that if questions do come up, you'll have an answer of how all of that came about. And with that, I think, again, I want to thank you all for the hard work that you put in and the long hours that we spent here discussing and going through a very busy agenda. And I would say that we are open for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.